copper is an incredibly good conductor of electricity. So pretty much all of our electronic devices, our cell phones, the cars that we drove in here today, and the speaker that I'm talking through, all of these things need copper to work. So, as you can understand, we were pretty excited when we found out that there was a lot of it here at Britannia. Now, folks, if you kept your eyes peeled while we were on the train, there is a chance that you may have already seen some of that copper. Can I get a quick show? 3 times. Then I want to twist that drill bit so it doesn't get stuck, and I'm going to do it again. And then I twist it, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and you get the point. This was not a very fast tool.
Grab my safety gear. And the first thing I want to do, folks, is just turn on my power right here. And in 3, 2, 1.
Can't imagine why. You will find out why in a couple of seconds, folks, because I'm going to blow this for our tour. You guys have the right idea. This is going to be the 3rd, final, and loudest noise of the tour. We should all cover our ears for this one because this whistle can be heard from about 5 kilometers away. So be warned.
Alrighty. We all know the drill by now, folks. So, 3, 2, 1.
Do you know how many panes of glass there are up there? 14,460. I'm just glad this is the only one I have to keep clean. They let a lot of light into this place, which was great for the electricity bill, but they also let a lot of light out. And as the mill worked through the night, it was a beacon that lit up the waters of Howe Sound, and it could be heard for miles around. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Number 3, which in its day was among the most efficient and advanced copper concentrators. This is why this place was built. All 20 stories of it, to liberate the minerals locked inside massive chunks of ore, just like that. Yeah, 1 second. Oh, I'm so sorry you had to see this. We've got a much bigger rock on order. This is ore. It's rock made up mostly of minerals we don't want, but one in particular we do, chalcopyrite, because it contains copper. And if they found a few other valuable minerals in there, well, nobody was complaining. But it was copper that the miners were after, because it was here in such abundance. And because copper conducts electricity better than any other metal, except silver. If electricity is the modern world's lifeblood, then copper serves as its veins and arteries. Without it... Yeah, sorry. Well, I guess you get the point. In its day, this mill ranked among the best at coaxing those copper minerals out of the rock, and that efficiency was built right into the design of this building. Each step in the concentration process was located one level below the step before, so gravity was always helping to move the heavy ore along, and it took a lot of ore to get a little copper. But over the years, the engineers at Britannia got better and better at it. By the time the mill closed, they were extracting 97% of all the copper in the ore. In all, Britannia produced 1.3 billion pounds of refined copper. That's the same weight as 43,000 school buses. That's empty school buses. So, how did they do it? How did they actually get the copper from the rock? I thought you'd never ask. Let me show you.
Okay. So you can't see me from where you're sitting, but I'm in the uppermost level of the mill. The milling process began with the arrival of train cars loaded with ore from somewhere within the mines 240 kilometers of tunnels. Then the train cars empty their loads into receiving bins below the tracks. The first task was to break up the large chunks of ore in a process known as crushing. Where do they come up with these technical terms? Although it appears empty today, the crushing level was once filled with large machines. The first was called a jaw crusher, which is pretty much how it sounds. It's a set of jaws like a giant nutcracker. It breaks the larger bits of rock down into smaller pieces, about the size of a softball. All the ore was then sent to a second machine called a cone crusher. Like a giant pepper mill, it crunches up the softballs into even smaller pieces, about grape size. And from here, conveyor belts carried the crushed ore to the grinding mills. This is where the rock went into large rotating drums, filled with either steel rods or balls like this one. It's always heavier than I remember. The balls tumbled around inside the drums and smashed the rock into even smaller pieces. From there, we go to secondary grinding. Now mixed with water, the ore was washed into more ball mills. And as you can see, there were a lot of them. On several levels! The ore was then eventually ground down to the consistency of fine sand in water. But now all the different mineral grains in that muddy slurry had to be sorted out. And this is where it gets really interesting. They actually found a way to get rock to float. Well, some of it anyway. In flotation, the ground up rock and water mixture was poured into troughs. Certain aromatic oils were added. Here at Britannia, they like to use pine oil. Then, air was pumped to the bottom of the troughs to create bubbles. As the air bubbles rose through the liquid, the bits of copper mineral clung to them and were drawn to the surface, while the other minerals...
That can't be good. Okay, so the skip. The skip is a kind of sloping freight elevator used to carry the heavy equipment up to all the various levels. But workers riding it, that was absolutely forbidden. It was just too dangerous. Even empty, the skip weighs 3 tons. 15 tons with a full load. Imagine it would break free. Anything in its path, like right where you're sitting now, which is... Well, fortunately that never happened. Okay, good. Anyway, there was plenty of other things going on here. For one, they were always repairing equipment or installing something new to improve the concentration process. Sometimes a particularly stubborn boulder would get caught in one of the receiving bins and have to be cleared before the next train arrived. And up there, the ship foreman would be told when they needed to deal with it, with a well-placed stick of dynamite. And once in a while, that even blew out the upper row of windows. Fire in the hole! Okay, that's got it. And here comes the ore train. Let's start the conveyor belts. And now for the jaw crusher. And the cone crushers. Now for the ball mills. On to the flotation tanks. Dewatering. Everybody okay? How about we just keep that last part between us? Okay? Okay. So, on November 1st, 1974, they shut down Britannia Mine and mill number 3 fell silent. Gone too was the beacon that had shone each night over Howe Sound. For the community that had always been there to serve the mine, the darkness and silence must have been strangely disquieting. You know what? I'm gonna leave you with the words of a longtime Britannia resident who put it much better than I ever could.
Can I tell you the first time it really struck me that this place was gone? They decided in 74 to shut it down because it was costing too much to get the ore out and it wasn't profitable. One day I went to Squamish grocery shopping and when I came back to the mill, the concentrator was dark. And I sat up on the bluff and I couldn't come home because I was crying so hard. It was the saddest thing. I'd never seen a mill building without lights in it. And that's when I knew it was over after being here for so many years.
So the people had to move on. But the building itself remains, a testament to all who lived and worked here. And today it's a National Historic Site. So I hope next time you're driving by, you might have a better understanding of what happened inside this amazing old building leaning against the mountainside. But not everything that happened, because some of that stays between